Hey, I'm comedian Shawn Reynolds, and this is Family Outside the Box, the podcast that answers that age-old question, what am I supposed to do with these kids? We are glad you're here. Let's do this. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Family Outside the Box.
What's up?
I'm your host, Shawn Reynolds, here with my daughter, Emma.
Hello, everyone.
Episode number 3. Excited to bring you episode number 3.
I know.
Our first episode with a guest.
I know, third time's a charm, I guess.
We're bringing in the Grand Poobah. Who we bringing in? Tell them we're bringing in.
We are bringing in Mom.
Bringing in Mom. Your mom.
Yeah, my mom.
Not my mom.
Yeah.
Your mom.
Okay.
My wife. Katie Reynolds will be in the house. We're really excited to have Katie.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have her in here shortly. Thank you for tuning in to this podcast where we're trying to improve family time, improve those bonds, do some cool things that aren't watching TV or going our separate ways. We hope you're enjoying the podcast.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. We are getting some great reviews. We actually had for the first time ever last night a family, the Boslins, Keith and Faith Boslin in Springfield, Ohio. I've done 2 shows at their church.
Oh, that's
up there.
awesome.
They're a great group, great family, and they did the activity in episode 2, the road scavenger hunt.
Yes.
It was awesome.
It was amazing.
What we did was, if you didn't listen to the episode, we put video challenges into the scavenger hunt, and they did them and they posted them. The first one was like they did the one that they're doing the robot dance.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad got into it.
Which is super awesome.
And then they recreated the movie. This is what you love. They recreated a movie scene.
The Napoleon Dynamite movie scene.
Yes.
Where he's testing the milks.
It is such a great scene.
And they nailed it.
They nailed it. It was so good. And so we
Yes.
really enjoyed seeing that, and they sound like they had a great time. We've been getting some Apple reviews, and we love those. I actually have, so I tried to read a review last week, and I couldn't read it. I lost it on the computer. I went ahead and printed it up this time.
Okay, old man. That's a little more your speed.
A little bit more speed. That's probably safe. Go ahead and just print it up. I want to read this. It's from Auntie Piranha, and she says he is a normal dude. Normal's in quotations. He's a normal dude who is hilarious. His daughter Emma is an unexpected gem in this podcast. Does that mean you were unexpected to be in the podcast, or that she knew you were in the podcast and it was unexpected for you to be a gem?
Well, you know what? I've always said I'm an underrated Reynolds family member.
Oh.
So.
Well, anyways, this is a must listen about a normal family, once again in quotations. I'm starting to get a little bit of a complex. Normal family with a very quirky humor. They are people for the job, for the COVID lockdown. Can't wait. Now, this is interesting. The timing on this is perfect. It's actually great that I didn't read this last episode, because it says here, it's a little foreshadowing. Can't wait for Shawn's wife, Katie, to be on the podcast.
Ooh, Mom has a fan.
Mom has a fan leaving reviews on the podcast. The last sentence here is, you will pee your pants with this husband-wife duo. She doesn't say you'll pee your pants.
She says pee.
Pee your pants. So you've been warned. If you pee your pants listening to the podcast, that's on you.
If you're listening, put on a diaper.
Strap in.
Get ready.
And with this wife duo, plus the cray kids who may appear on these episodes, and they will. More kids will appear on the episode if Emma lets them. She's the oldest daughter.
I'll have to do a couple interviews.
You're gonna check them out, make sure they can do the podcast.
Yeah.
So anyways, thank you, Auntie Piranha, for that fantastic review. And yes, Katie is here in the house today. Before we bring her on, though, last night I did an interview on a podcast with Josh Novi. Josh is one of my friends, and he is a fantastic comedian. Look him up. He's on Dry Bar as well. But I did his podcast last night, Off the Crust.
Off the Crust.
So it's called Off the Crust.
I
Very
love
funny.
that.
And he asked me a question, and I didn't give a very good answer to it. I was a bad podcast guest. He asked me this question because we were talking about our Family Outside the Box podcast. He's getting ready to become a stepdad of a 14, a 10, and a 7-year-old. And so he was asking for some advice. He's never been a father before.
Okay.
And he was excited about the podcast, but he said to me, you do all these cool things, all these fun things that you're promoting, you're telling us how to do them. But Shawn, how do I get them to buy in to even doing these things? And I was like, it's a great question. I didn't have an answer ready to go. And I think this is a problem that people will face, because guess what? The Boslins alluded to that in their Facebook post.
Yeah.
What did they say? But the ones that posted the videos, what did it say? Something like, not everybody was on board.
Yeah. And then by the end of it, though,
everyone
loved it.
She said thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah. So I think this is a problem. So me and Emma have been talking about it today before we recorded of, well, how do we get buy-in? Because I think part of our thing is it's always been part of our family culture. We've always done activities. We've always done cool things. Okay. And if you have been doing, if this is your norm, great. But maybe you're wanting to improve your family life. And that's what we want listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
So some tips on how to maybe get buy-in. For one is keeping it simple.
For sure. Like it can't be something, you can't immediately just be like, we're going to do a super crazy thing.
Right, over the top.
Yeah.
It's going to take up the whole weekend.
Yeah.
It's going to take up the whole day. A lot of our activities are small. Our episode number one was a dinner time conversation piece, and it was episode number 1 on purpose. We wanted it to be easy and simple. And so being simple and also easing in. You don't have to be doing these big activities every day.
Yeah, no, we don't. We do days where we're all on our own.
Going our separate ways. That's important too.
Yeah, you got to find that balance. For
right.
Sure.
And so in doing different, we do a lot of different family combinations and we have a lot of people. So there's a lot of combos, but you can do that even if you have one child, right? One night you're all 3 together. The next night it's one parent with the child. The next night the parents flip. The night after that, everybody's their own separate way.
Yeah.
And then the next night you're all 3 together again. I would encourage that. I think having the balance, the variety.
It's super important.
And so not being over the top. The other thing is we've talked about is getting a little bit of a heads up. What do you think about that?
Oh, that's... For me, especially because I'm like a little bit older, I can like, make plans, stuff like that.
Right.
It's super important to give that heads up because if you are like, hey, today we're going to go pick strawberries and I'm like, I already have plans, it kind of can ruin, I guess, the tone and the mood.
Right. Either you don't go and we're upset or you do go and you're upset.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think my wife actually suggested that. She's like, it's important to text the kids even or springing it on you guys when you're in a good mood. I think that helps.
Yeah,
too.
that's always.
So that's important is to have it planned ahead of time. If you're, especially if it's something like leaving the house, right?
Yeah.
Like the picking strawberries is a great example. Another thing is if you're going to do something like the road scavenger hunt, something like that, having a prize,
that's super important.
You like that
for me,
you
especially because I'm like competitive,
right? And so making it a little bit of a competition or having a prize. Sometimes I'll just buy a Milky Way if I know I'm going to do something with the kids, and so having that, but also. Doing things that are your kids' interests, right? So we're going to propose some things here, and I think people can tweak, right? Like even the road scavenger hunt. We posted on Facebook our road scavenger hunt, but maybe your family is really into something that's not represented on that scavenger hunt at all.
Yeah.
Well, make it for them as well. Like we do we did trivia night. I know we were talking about that.
Yeah, exactly. So we did like a Stranger Things trivia night, and it was so fun because
you guys love it.
We love Stranger Things, so it was just I don't know if you cater to the needs
and the interests.
Yeah, that makes it so much more better, and especially if it's something that maybe we like but the parents don't like.
That makes it count more, right?
Yeah.
So maybe your kids are really into Glee. Like I don't like Glee. Or maybe they're into The Mandalorian or something and you're not. But guess what?
Yeah.
It's super easy to Google Mandalorian trivia.
Exactly, yeah.
Glee trivia. Find 10 questions. Go to the store. Buy a candy bar. And just, hey, at the end of dinner, be like, hey, guys, we're going to do a little trivia. I have 10 questions here. And whoever has the most points at the end of 10 questions wins this. It's super fun.
It's super fun. Like, for example, so I'm super into theater. And I'm kind of really the only one in my family that's super into theater.
Right, Bay in the Broadway.
But once a year there is the Tony
Awards,
which is like it's like the Oscars for Broadway.
For Broadway, correct.
And you and Mom both make sure that night is like super important for me.
Right.
We buy the Tony's pizza.
I buy Tony's pizza.
I know it's horrible. It's the worst pizza I've ever had.
Terrible pizza.
But it's the name that counts.
But it's Tony's. It's a part of the night.
And I get to do like a little presentation where
right. Because we don't know about the Tony. So
exactly.
What Emma does, she stands in front of the TV before it starts with a piece of paper and she tells us about all the plays that are nominated and she tells us what they're about and she gets us excited and her excitement, we feed off that and you get excited because we're into it.
Yeah, it can be a little dangerous though because sometimes I get overexcited and I almost pass out.
You overheat. Emma overheats.
I do.
And so...
It's so embarrassing.
We were at a restaurant. Quick story. We were at a restaurant. It was the day before she went and saw Hamilton on Broadway. We were at a restaurant in Fredericksburg, Virginia, I believe. And Emma was, because we had done like a whole vacation, and Emma was telling us about Hamilton, the story of Hamilton, and then went into the parking lot and threw up and almost passed out. And she was like totally fine after that. And it was like, you just got so excited.
Yeah, I got so excited. I threw up.
But listen, that's the thing. Tapping into your kids' excitements and interests is so cool and so exciting. And it does get them to buy in. Because then they're more apt to be doing the things that you want to do.
Yeah, for sure. Because like Mom loves, for example, going back to picking strawberries. Mom loves picking strawberries.
Right. Go to the apple orchard.
Yeah, and it's like it's important to her. You guys have always made sure our interests were kind of like lifted up in the family. Like, why not return the favor?
Right. So hopefully those some of those tips will help. But are you ready to bring in our guests and ready to get into our one big thing for the day?
I'm so excited.
Let's do it. Here it is, the family outside the box. One golden nugget. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. Our one golden nugget. And with us, we have our first guest ever. We have brought her in, the Grand Poobah, the matriarch of the Reynolds family, Katie Reynolds. Hello, my wife, Katie.
Is.
The one and only.
The one and only. Honestly, a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about on Family Outside the Box are really ideas that she has had and has done with the family.
Well, you made the perfect analogy last time
Yeah.
from the movie The Founder.
This is the founder.
She's the McDonald's brothers, and we're Ray
And
Kroc.
we're Ray Kroc, and we're taking her ideas.
You're totally stealing all of my ideas.
Yeah, you tried to keep them in-house and in one place, and we're trying to spread them across the
We're
country.
capitalizing on it.
And we're going to capitalize on it. And
I also think you're taking a little bit of credit for my ingenuity.
Well, we have you here, and we're saying all these things, so let it be enough.
Yeah, we're building you up.
Okay.
Mom's salty right now because we're in her doghouse. Me and Emma, she's my daughter, but we're also besties, and we're besties. And so we're in the doghouse though because last night my wife Katie, she made shrimp tacos.
I know.
I know a lot of people would be fired up about shrimp tacos, but me and Emma, we don't like shrimp. We don't do seafood, and we're like, we're not having that for dinner.
Yeah, no way.
And I think you were okay with that, with us not having shrimp tacos. Would you say you're okay with that?
Oh, no, I think whatever I make, everyone in the family should eat.
But if we don't like shrimp tacos, we don't like shrimp tacos. You
are grateful, and
I
you say thank you, and you eat what is put in front of you.
You made shrimp tacos for the girl who ordered chicken tenders at Old Chicago.
This girl could go to Italy. She could go to Rome, and she'd be like, "Can I get a cheeseburger, cheese only?" Well, but I felt like you were fine with it.
This is not a restaurant.
But I said, I'll make me and Emma something for dinner, and you were like, "That's fine." And then me and Emma were like, "We're gonna have grilled cheese and tomato soup."
I was excited.
And you said no. You're like, "You can't make something good."
Absolutely
you
not.
You have to make a cold sandwich.
I'm not competing with other people's dinner choices. You're going to eat. I want our children to have good palates.
Nope. There, she said it though. I didn't want to compete. Yeah. She knew when the other kids saw our grilled cheese and tomato soup dinner, they were going to be like, "We want to have grilled cheese and tomato soup." That's
it's
what you were
okay
worried
to
about.
admit that our dinner was going to be better.
It's okay. It's fine to admit that. You can admit it. It's fine.
I mean, better. I don't know how you're describing better. It's not a better.
We're describing it with the words grilled cheese and tomato soup, which is all it needs to be said.
That's it, yeah.
All right. Anyways, let's get into the one bit. So here's what we're having Katie on this episode specifically because boy, this is
I've finally been invited.
And so this is you do hate podcasts, so I hope you're comfortable being on our podcast, even though you hate them. But our one big thing today is something that you have brought to our family. It's become a part of our family culture and who we are as a family, and we have done this activity now twice in the last few weeks, and it is doing Bob Ross paintings.
Yes.
Now, we do lots of paintings, right?
Mm-hmm. We do.
Always doing paintings.
Always.
But what we're going to talk about today specifically is turning on a Bob Ross episode and painting along with him. And here's the thing. Let me start off by saying this before you turn off this episode. If you're like, I'm not a painter, click, hold on.
Yeah.
You know who else isn't a painter? This guy.
Yeah, totally. Not at all.
Not at all. Zero.
You have the artistic abilities of a kindergartner.
I would say a preschooler.
Listen, well, you guys should see my finger paintings. They're pretty solid. But no, not only am I not artistic, I don't enjoy it. Okay, so let me start off by saying this. This was an activity that I had to be talked into doing, right? You 100%. Guys talked me into doing this. I didn't want to do it. And let me tell you.
And by you guys, he means me.
Right.
Because I had to take you aside.
You had to pull me aside.
Okay. and talk to you and coach you up.
Give me a pep talk.
You're
the father. Okay. You need to be a part of this. Hey,
exactly.
we all need that. We all need that sometimes. It's good to have a partner like that. Hey, fist bump, air fist bump. And so let me just start off by saying, I have no artistic ability. I don't enjoy painting. This was an awesome activity. I wouldn't have it on the podcast if I didn't have a great time doing it. Also, we made some mistakes the first time around.
We made many mistakes.
Mistakes were made. Anger was permeating in the room during our first time around.
Yes.
Somebody walked out. Katie, which one of our 6 kids walked out in the middle of our Bob Ross painting?
That would be your bestie.
My bestie. Emma walked out.
Okay, you know what?
No, I believe she stomped out.
She stomped
and
out.
there also might have been a slam door or two.
I woke up on the wrong side of the bed that day, okay?
Did you say, screw you, Bob Ross? I think you may have said that.
I think she did.
I will say this, though. I will, in Emma's defense, I'll say this. I watched Bob Ross as a kid growing up, loved it. And if you watch Bob Ross, you might be like, I love Bob Ross. He's so relaxing. He's entertaining. This is great. Let me tell you what, it's a different experience watching Bob Ross when you're painting along with them. You know what? You're like, you know what, Bob, shut your mouth. It's not super easy, okay?
He's like a happy little accident. I'm like, I'm not happy with the 1,000 blobs I just made on my canvas, Bob.
My whole canvas is an accident, Bob. So it is a different experience watching and painting along with Bob. And but we made some tweaks the second time around, and we'll get into those in a second. But would you say the tweaks were good, right, Emma?
The tweaks were amazing. I didn't walk out.
You didn't walk out.
She stayed the whole time.
But also, this is a great activity because Bob Ross is a force of positivity, right?
Oh, for sure.
I feel like you get more from Bob than just the painting.
You learn a lot of patience,
joy, passion,
and you have a good outcome if you follow his steps and go through the process.
Right. So let's get into the process. So let's just kind of knock it down here, step by step. So Katie, this is your thing now. Give some good tips.
Well, actually, all of this is my thing.
That's very true.
She is not going to let it go.
All right. So why don't you tell us first some tips on setting up for the Bob Ross painting?
Okay, so here we obviously do a lot of art projects. The big key, especially when you're doing art projects with children, one of them being your husband, is you need to make sure that you have everything set out ahead of time, that it's very organized. So our setup was that before we even begin, are we talking about the first time setup or the second time setup?
Let's just go for the second time setup. What advice would you give folks as far as, and here's the thing. We're also cost effective. We've talked about this before. We're Little Caesars eating, sneaking snacks into the dollar theater kind of family. So when you even like the paints yourself, like people will be like, well, I don't have a palette. Because if you watch Bob Ross, he's got like this metal palette.
Yeah.
I don't have a metal palette. You don't need that.
We do the most ghetto paintings.
We use styrofoam plates.
Styrofoam plates for our palettes.
So go ahead. So talk about the setup. How you do that.
Okay, so we use styrofoam plates for our palettes. We use Walmart 99-cent acrylic paint. We don't go into oils or any fancy paints. We use like a $5.99 pack of paintbrushes that come with a plastic knife for the painting knife.
Right. Now that is the one part of our anger because Bob, he's got some tools and we're like, we can't make it look like Bob, but we'll get into that in a moment. So
the key is making sure that you set out the paper plates with the colors already portioned out on the plate.
Right. It's very
you
helpful.
Don't need a lot, just a little bit, because you don't want to waste a lot of paint either. So just a little squirt of each color. Right. We also don't follow these magical paint colors that Bob Ross has.
Exactly. That's really important to say,
he was talking about Pythagorean blue.
No, he says isn't it Prussian?
Whatever.
Prussian.
It was a crazy mess. It was Prussian. It was Prussian.
Prussian blue.
Crimson tide yellow. Like we don't use any of that. Right. I just say yellow is yellow. Burnt sienna is like a reddish brown. Like, so we put those all out.
Okay.
I'd make sure everybody has 3 paintbrushes. Bob Ross uses a large, like 2-inch paintbrush. We don't have those. Right. I wasn't going to buy them. Right. So we just made sure everybody had 1 fat brush, 1 medium brush,
super cheap,
1 small brush. We have a couple fan brushes. So we share those, and we have a couple painting knives that came in the standard pack, and we also share those.
And the point is, it's cheap to get started.
Exactly.
And now that we've done it enough, we love it. We have now discussed, like, well, maybe we actually will go out and get some of the stuff that Bob Ross has. Right. But the cool thing about this activity is it's easy and it's cheap to get started. Talk about the canvases.
Well, before I talk about the canvases, I also just want to say that you need to make sure that you have a tablecloth, a throwaway plastic tablecloth, again, 99 cents. Old flat sheets is fine too, on the table. And then each person has a small glass of water and multiple pieces of paper towel. I have also used washcloths in the past, and that works really well, but that can get, for us, it's just too many. So we have a big roll of toilet paper now.
No, not toilet paper. We have a bidet now, so we don't even use toilet paper. If you missed episode 2, I'm really excited. We bought a bidet. I'm super pumped about it.
Here he goes again.
I don't want to get off on a tangent, but it's pretty amazing.
Also, toilet paper is a hot commodity currently, so
you're probably not even going to be able to find toilet paper.
We use paper towels.
So it's like easy, it's an easy setup. It's inexpensive.
Yes. So the canvases, if you go to Michael's, which you can get Michael's right at their door now, they do door delivery. They have a stack of canvases, 8 canvases for like $10.
Super cheap.
Coupon. So it's really magically delicious as far as cost goes.
And you love going to Michael's. I love how in Gary Gallman's new special, he's like, I love Michael's. He's like, I call it Classy Joanne's.
Oh my gosh, that made me laugh so hard.
So would you say for a family of 4, okay, that they could do a Bob Ross painting night for under $20, family of 4?
For sure.
Okay, with paintbrushes, paint, and the canvases.
For sure.
Great. So there you go,
sure.
right there.
Yeah.
Cheaper than going to see a movie. Now here's the first thing. Here's the tweak we did. So the first time we did the Bob Ross painting, we did it in our family room. So we had the TV on, we had our table set up, we were all ready to go, and we started the episode.
Yeah.
And Bob is like, "All right, you're gonna mix in some Prussian blue, a little bit of midnight black, and then we're gonna start painting the sky." Awesome. And then we're like, "Okay, I'm painting the sky," and then you're gonna get clouds, and we're like, "Whoa, Bob, we're still doing the sky."
Yeah. Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
So we're pausing it, and we expected to pause, but let me tell you, we kept going and kept hitting play, and that is where we got so frustrated because Bob Ross is so fast.
I would say we didn't get frustrated. I would say you got frustrated mostly.
Well, Emma walked out.
Yeah.
So
Emma
you know
walked
what?
out, but you cried over the color blue that you got, and you could not get the correct color blue. And in fact, I believe that Lucy, our 4-year-old, had the color blue correct before you did.
well, I think we need to let people know I'm colorblind, and so thanks for making fun of my disability.
That doesn't
here he
matter.
goes.
I do. I
I'm
struggle, but listen.
colorblind.
But if you have younger kids that are doing this, and Bob is mixing paints, and he's getting a certain color, younger children may have trouble mixing. And so, anyway, so my point is, the first episode, it felt he goes so fast
So
because
fast.
He really does.
he's a professional.
Yeah.
So the tweak we made for the second time around was a huge tweak. Tell them what we did, Emma.
We watched the episode first while we were eating dinner.
Yep.
We all went out into the living room,
Yep.
sat there and watched the episode, and that was like the biggest game changer.
Game changer.
Because it
And
gave
we
us
did
kind
it
of
right
like
before we painted too.
Yeah, and
We ate our dinner and we watched it while we ate, and everything was already set, so we just went right into the painting.
yeah.
Correct. And that was huge because one of the things you don't realize about Bob is that some of the things he does early on
Yeah.
affects what happens later. Or like it doesn't have to be perfect in the beginning because you're painting over half of that. Right?
You get so obsessed with the clouds, and you realize at the end of the painting, the clouds are a very small portion of the whole painting.
Right. So our biggest tip probably out of all this is watch the episode first.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then do the painting. And I like that we did it immediate back to back. We try not to eat dinner in the family room, but it just made sense. We had the paint all set up. We went, we ate dinner, we watched it, and then boom, we were able to get into it.
Yeah.
The next thing we want to say is, and this is, I need to give myself this advice, and I have
Me
done
too.
good both times. The second half of the activity is you got to relax.
Yeah.
You got to have a good time.
You were not relaxed
I was relaxed the second
for the
half.
last 2 minutes, maybe.
I joked with everybody. I said that my high low the day we did the first Bob Ross painting, my low was the first 15 minutes of the painting, and my
my
high
gosh.
was the second 15
Yes.
minutes, the last
Yes.
15 minutes, because it was so stressful in the beginning. And then when you just realize, I just got to relax and enjoy this, because here's the thing, you're not going to be as good as Bob.
Yeah. I think, you just have to. What I did the second time around is like about 30 minutes before, I started kind of like doing a little bit of like thought process, like, you're not Bob Ross. You're never probably going to be Bob Ross. So don't be upset if you're not making a creation like his.
Right. He does this for a living. And so I think that is when you first do it, you're trying to keep up with him. You're trying to do exactly what he does. And you
Yeah.
just have to tell yourself, you're not going to be able to do that. Let's relax. Let's have fun.
But you will be totally shocked by your results.
Well, that's the next thing is that, and this is the part where I will attest, because if you give me paints and a canvas and tell me to paint something, it's going to look like a preschooler's finger painting. And that is literally not even an exaggeration.
No.
Not at all.
But it is easier than you would expect if you sit there and just follow his direction, right?
100%. You follow the direction. And, the other key too is knowing that looking as it's further back, the picture actually becomes more clearer.
Right.
Which maybe also means we're not good artists, but it
I don't
really
think so.
is not about every single little detail. I was most shocked that our little boys did as well as they did.
Unbelievable.
Because, this whole Bob Ross night started after watching Teresa and her family do this when her kids were like 5 years old.
Right.
And I was like, they never paint, and that's how it looked. So we paint. We know the basics of painting. We got
Right.
that down. So it was really, really cool to see even how the boys.
Yeah.
One thing that we did, I don't know if you shared about the Facebook voting.
No, we're going to get that in a second.
Okay,
We're going to get that in a
okay,
second.
okay. I'm
But
going
the last,
ahead. I'm
the
going
last
ahead.
note I want to put on this, though, is that you don't even realize it. When you're painting, your face is a foot from the painting. And when you're in it, everything looks horrible, right? Because he's like, like a tree is just taking green paint and just like smacking the canvas with the paintbrush, and then you take the yellows and the greens and you make like flowery stuff, and then when you're staring at it, it like, this looks terrible. Or with the mountains, you're scraping white paint for snow, and you're seeing every little centimeter, every drop of paint. But it's a magical when you step back and look at it. It's like,
you're like, hold on.
Right?
It looks kind of good.
You shock yourself.
Yeah.
Last night we did our second one last night. I purposely didn't look at everybody's paintings, but listening to everybody, I just assumed everybody's paintings was trash. Because everybody was like, oh, I just messed up. Oh, this looks so horrible. Mine looks terrible. My whole painting's a happy accident, Bob. And then when I went and looked around, I was like, they look great.
They really looked great.
I think
you experienced that.
Yeah, I think it's super important to remember also, like, you are your own worst critic. So you're going to see every single mistake, but nobody else is.
Right. And
well, my other favorite was when Emma walked out of the painting and she saw everybody.
This up.
I know, but she saw everybody the next day. And then she looked at hers where she had stopped. And she was like, if I had just kept going, I see what would have ended up happening. So actually it was a good lesson for all of us when we saw that halfway point and then the completed picture. So this was cool.
This is an activity, classic activity, where it's always going to be better the second time around.
Yeah.
And if you can just get through the first half of the first time, I think you'll see it's really cool. Now, what we did was, so the first painting we did a few weeks ago, the one where Emma walked out, is that what? Yeah, that's what we're calling that one. It was a mountain painting. I can't paint, and you, Katie, decided to make it a competition.
Yeah.
To see, we have an art wall in our kitchen, and we'll get into more of that in a second. Katie was like, I'm going to put all the ones on Facebook, and we won't tell anybody whose is who, and we'll let people vote, and the winner will make it onto the kitchen wall, right?
Right.
We were all excited about this.
Right.
Now, Kylie, our daughter, Kylie is a painter.
Yeah.
She's very, very, very talented.
She has sold artwork. She has done a painting. Katie, you put it on Facebook, and somebody literally said how much I want to buy it.
Right.
And if you're watching on YouTube, some of these paintings, that one right there is that psychedelic painting right there is hers, and it's really, and so she's an artist. Our son Shawn, he's got some serious skills.
Very,
skills.
very, very talented.
And then obviously you've always painted your whole life. You're a fantastic art. So you put him up on Facebook, the Bob Ross painting. I'm colorblind. I can't paint. Katie, would you please let everybody know whose painting won the competition?
Sadly.
Go ahead.
It was yours.
It was mine. I won.
He had the best mountains
of
all time.
Here's the painting, and here's what we're gonna do. If you're listening, we'll put this up on our Facebook page. My painting of my mountains. If you're watching on YouTube, we're gonna put it on the screen. Look at those mountains. What did you guys think about my mountains?
They're impressive.
They are really impressive. I have to say. He was the only one that was able to get it because that was the painting knife. And the painting knife is the bane of my existence.
I've never used a painting knife, and all I did was I just watched Bob, and I just did my best, and I stayed patient. But let me tell you, as I was doing it, I am not making this up. I was like, these mountains look horrible.
Yeah. I was still there.
I screwed up my painting.
Yes.
And then once you just keep doing it, and then you just let it dry, and then I won.
I know.
It was pretty amazing.
My land, that strip of land there is not so good.
Well, we were not going to talk about that.
There's a couple things that were... Well, what I loved about the Facebook voting was this one friend of ours, Aaron Warner.
Yeah.
Took pictures of everybody's favorite part of everybody's painting.
He did do that.
And what was really cool about that is that every single painting had a part that was the best.
No doubt about it.
And it made us all feel really good. I think even the kids reading those comments and going, "Oh, I had the best reflection," or "I had the best clouds," or whatever it was. And so everybody really won.
Everybody really won.
I'm not taking that away from you.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. And Aaron Warner, I was like, cool you pointed out. I love Aaron Warner. He's such a great guy. Shout out to Aaron Warner. And then so now we are in the midst right now of voting on our painting last night, and this is really cool because it is like there's a runaway. There's a little bit of a runaway now.
There is a runaway, a well-deserved runaway.
And that is Kylie.
Yes.
And if we're watching on YouTube, here's Kylie's. We'll put that up there.
Amazing.
Kylie,
the little flowers in the bottom
front,
of the...
her barn.
Her barn.
The roof of her barn.
Roof. And here's the thing about... And
that painting knife again!
Yeah, but here's the other thing with Bob Ross. You have to trust Bob because he did the same thing with the mountains and he did with the roof on the shading. You're going to paint your mountain. We painted our mountains.
Yeah.
We painted our barn. It's a red barn, brown barn, green all around this barn. And then Bob goes, all right, now you're going to get some blue and mix it with some black. And you're like, blue? What? And he's like, and you're just going to drag that along the one side of the roof for some shading. And then when you do it, when you see that blue go across that brown barn, you were like, well, I just screwed up my whole painting.
I was so mad.
And some of us were very vocal about that.
Right, we were.
Shawn
well,
Reynolds.
I'm colorblind. So, but yeah, so Kylie's is currently in the lead, but here we'll throw up, here's if you're watching on YouTube, we'll throw up Katie's. Yours was also outstanding.
Yeah.
I was very proud of mine.
Right, and so yours turned out really, really good. But what's neat is that like Dylan he's like in the running with votes.
All of us are tied for second.
Except for one person.
It is not going to be a repeat for you.
It's not going to be a repeat, but guess what? Mine was good.
Ish.
I'll say
you made
that.
A big mistake.
But then at the very end, Bob Ross goes,
he ruins
we're going to put 2 big trees in the front. And I was like, all right, Bob, let's do it. And everybody else went, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And it
Sean's
ruined my
2
whole
trees
painting.
look like giant trees that would be in the horrific movie, like in the woods.
They don't even look like trees. They look like Slim Jims. They look
Oh,
terrible.
They were, I'm sorry, but they're
horrible.
A lot to
But
take
yeah,
in.
but our son, our 11-year-old son Dylan is getting a lot of votes, which is really
Yeah.
cool. Now our son Shawn, will point out, both times has cheated. He has gotten votes. And he's a great artist.
Gosh.
But the first time in his mountain painting at the very end, he didn't feel confident in his painting. And what did he do, guys? What did he add?
He freaking UFO.
He added a UFO, and he got UFO votes.
He almost won the whole vote based off of the UFO.
UFO.
And let's just chat about this current painting where he put in a garden gnome
and
the Loch Ness monster.
What?
It wouldn't even fit in the pond that we painted.
I don't even think Bob Ross would be okay with that. He'd
be
like, that is
100%
not a happy accident. That is a purposeful, crazy. You went rogue, is what he did, and he's just doing it for the votes. And we see right through it. And he has yet to win because most voters, are seeing right through it.
Yeah,
and we're not allowing it.
So,
anyways, it's been
some
a great
voters
time.
are not seeing through it.
Right. As I'm saying, not all, but most. But so the last thing though we'll talk about, and then we'll get going here.
Oh, I want to add one more thing about the Bob Ross paintings because we forgot to say this.
Yeah.
Bob Ross episodes are currently on Prime and Netflix.
Yes,
they're on both.
So it's totally Netflix has less than Prime.
Okay, but there's some.
But there's some, so you can
cool.
look ahead of time.
And they're probably on YouTube as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Super accessible.
Everybody has to have at least YouTube or Amazon Prime or Netflix. And if you don't, once again, you're probably Amish.
Yeah.
If you don't have those, you're probably not listening to a podcast.
Yeah.
And you're probably making your own paint.
You're already painting. Anyways, you're home. Anyways, so, but the last thing we want to say is, and this is one of the cool things we do, and we'll put a picture of it on social media, is that we have in our kitchen an art wall, but also my wife, she hangs up these pictures in the hallway. We put them in the stairwell. Talk about that a little bit, Katie.
Okay, so in our house, we were originally we've been married 20 years. In the beginning,
She shrugged like, it's been 20, right? 20,
no big deal.
Almost 21.
Happily for 17. Just, a mix.
But we would put up, the typical Ansel Adams pictures Vincent Van Gogh. And somewhere along the way, I just realized we do so many creative things with our family. That should be the art that's on our wall.
Yep.
And not only should it be the art that's on the wall, but I knew it would make the kids feel good too, because everything they create, they need to be proud of. They need to make sure that it's posted. I think all parents need to do this, and we don't do this enough with our kids, especially doing something that's not a screen. It doesn't involve a screen. It's something that they've created from their heart, their soul, their mind. It's something that
gives them a lot of confidence.
Oh,
makes them feel
for sure.
Good. And listen, we filled up a whole wall in our kitchen. We know that might not be what every family's going to do, but everybody can find a spot.
Well, and we did for a while before we had the wall. We did a seasonal wall. So in the hallway was our seasonal art. Whatever the season was, we did some kind of project, and we would post that up in the hallway or the kitchen or whatever.
Oh, right. We have them in our stairwell going down to our basement. So if you have a basement, you can do that. Everybody can find a spot.
Yep. And then, of course, the kids have it in their rooms.
Yeah.
They have their
Yeah, they have their own right in their rooms.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool. Well, awesome. Well, this has been a really fun episode. We hope everybody takes the dive. And then, and here's the thing also, maybe you feel like Bob Ross, you don't want to take the dive. There's also other kinds of paint by instruction
on
YouTube. You can look them up and see it. We prefer Bob though because he's not only is he a great teacher and a great painter, but he's a lot of fun to watch. The kids love him. He's very Mr. Rogersy. What do you say?
His tone of voice is so gentle and patient, and that was good for our family too.
It's been really great. Yeah, we've really enjoyed it. Well, Katie, we are so glad to finally have you on the Family Outside the Box. We hope you enjoyed your time.
Well, I hope I'm invited back.
We will definitely have you back.
Yeah.
We have some more great episodes on the horizon, and
I hope I'm invited back to talk about my ideas.
Yeah, we'll talk it over. We'll look into it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll check our schedules. So
we'll see. We'll take a look and see if we can squeeze you in. All right. Well, thank you for enjoying another episode of Family Outside the Box. I'm your host, Shawn, and
I am Emma.
And we had Katie in the house today. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and remember to follow us on social media at Shawn Reynolds Comedy, SHAWN, Shawn Reynolds Comedy on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.